Hello there, Tyrant here, and I just finished watching. Fuck, I don't even know how to pronounce this name of the show at the moment. I'll get it. But if you read it in the title, so this show is an odd one to say the least. It starts out with a very interesting opening, with this girl just kind of fighting people in a kind of martial arts status thing, and I was like, okay. But then it kind of goes like 3 years back. So I was like, what? Alright, sure. And it honestly starts with this Yakuza member, and it's interesting because he seems to be like highly up in the ranks. He cares about money and prestige. And out of nowhere, this giant metal ball falls out of the sky, and I was like, okay, what's gonna happen? And an egg falls down, a metal egg with a face on it. He tries to ignore it, but then he wakes up the next day and he realizes it's still there. He opens it up, and he finds this naked girl. And this girl turns out to have psychokinetic powers, and I was like, okay. And what's funny is that he kind of lets her be for a moment, and then he kind of realizes that he can kind of get murdered by her at any moment. And somehow through time passing, we don't know how much time has passed, but time passes, he kind of just lets her live there, and it just becomes a thing, just a thing. Like I think he even mentions it that she's like a caregiver. Actually, there's two characters that say that, and it's really funny to note that um, it's her, and then there's a moment where she wants to go to school, and she goes to school, and there's a girl who sits next to her after she slept the entire class away, who's trying to help her, and also she mentions that she's a caregiver. I find that really funny because for a girl who can kind of basically do almost anything, like with her powers, she's very reliant on others, I would say. Um, and we've also learned in this episode that if she doesn't use her powers, they kind of go out of control. And you would think that I forget what the name of the Yakuza guy is. I'll get used to her name, but I know the psychic girl's name's Hina. But uh, what's interesting about him is I would have thought he would have been trying to use her a little bit more. But he doesn't seem that much of a dick in that sense. He's not, and maybe because he's kind of afraid of her on top of that. Um, so he kind of uses her like midway, but just kind of to let her exercise her powers before they explode. So there's one thing. And what baffled me and what intrigued me about the show in this episode was it wasn't that the the characters and how different they are. It's more of their interaction. Because he's very subservient to her when it comes to stuff. He's willing to give up into her demands and stuff like that. And she's very demanding. But not in that sense where she's like forcing, but sometimes she is, but she's literally holding your hand behind your back. But in the sense where she's still a child, she's like wanting stuff. Um, and what, like I said, like this episode really intrigued me because uh, it's kind of this comedic show. Like we know he's in a shady business, but we don't see much of that. It's more of the business side of stuff and things like that. But then towards the end of the episode, where we get him having to kill off a member of another gang or something, is where it gets really intense and like, oh shit, okay, what's gonna happen here? And he's contemplating in his car, like, what is he gonna do? He has to go inside this building, like, knock this one guy out, and there's like a bunch of his henchmen there, and like, oh shit, he's really thinking about this, and like, huh, huh. and Hina's there, and she's like, she's like, why don't you order me to do that? Because she earlier in the episode, where, like I said, he kind of does use her in a way, but just to let her use her powers during this wood exercise. Not word exercise, but the wood uh, thing. Like, he kind of orders her there, but in this sense, he's like, no, you don't let people tell you what to do, and that kind of like, okay. And she's like, I'll do this for you in a way. She says it, so she kind of just walks in, and like the music, you would have thought the music would have been like intense and stuff like that, but no, it kind of gets jokey, and you just see guys flying back and forth. No, not back and forth, but being thrown out the window. Uh, and then out she comes with the boss, and like, huh, okay. And it's implied probably that he gets killed later, but uh, uh, yeah, like I said, it's an odd one. It's an odd one. Uh, these two this relationship between these two characters seems so odd to me that I want to see what's gonna go come from it. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. It's a so far I'm very intrigued, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So thanks again for watching. Until next time.